Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Linda Dick. I'm one of the many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either a donation or by volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. And I'll be reading the paper for Friday, November 18th, Neepawa Banner and Press. Front page, Neepawa pays tribute to those who served. The Remembrance Day ceremony returned to the Yellowhead Centre. Members of the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 23 and Neepawa Legion Ladies Auxiliary stand at attention during the Remembrance Day ceremony at the Yellowhead Hall on November 11th. Owen Devereaux has submitted this column. The people of Neepawa recently stopped for a moment to honor those who sacrificed to protect our freedom during the annual Remembrance Day ceremony. The event was held at the Yellowhead Hall on Friday, November 11th, and saw several hundred in attendance to pay respectful tribute to those who have served. This year was also a normal for the ceremony, as it was held with no restrictions in place associated with COVID-19. Royal Canadian Legion Branch 23 President Kevin Paramore said that everyone was very happy to be able to fully participate once again in honoring the day. It means a lot to be able to once again gather here like we have, and to have this many people here to be a part of the ceremony. It shows that our community really is a community, right? There's a lot of strength here, said Paramore. People are eager to gather together again, finally. Paramore also thanked everyone who worked so hard to put the event together. He said that it is a lot of work to put it together, and the people who arranged it all did an amazing job. As for the ceremony itself, it featured the traditional laying of the wreaths from representatives from across the region, as well as the province, RCMP, Royal Canadian Legion, and several other organizations. There were also readings from the Bible from several variety of denominations. The Neepawa Post Office will soon accept letters to Santa by Casper Wareham. The first bouts of gentle snowfall this month signal that the jolly season is right around the corner, and with it the opportunity for children across the globe to write their very own letters to Santa. In Neepawa, the local post office is well prepared for this annual event and is expected to have their Santa box put in display in the post office lobby sometime during the last week in November. We'll likely put it out around the time of the Santa parade. The parade really seems to gear people up for sending their letters out to Santa, said Val Purok, Neepawa Post Office employee, so it's a very good time to have it set up. The deadline for turning in letters to Santa is December 9th. However, Purok noted that the post office will allow for some late arrivals within reason. All letters should be submitted before Christmas Eve. Sooner is always better because it will help make the job of all the Santa helpers a little bit easier. As well, an earlier arrival will allow the jolly man himself more time to write up a return letter to each child that wrote to him. For this reason, too, everyone is asked to include their post office box number in addition to their first and last name when writing the return address on their envelopes. Including this information will help ensure that Santa and his helpers can send the return letters to the proper recipients. How to send a letter. Any child wishing to send a letter may do so by writing it with the help of a parent or guardian if needed, and enclosing it in an envelope. The envelopes can be mailed to Santa using the following mail address: Santa Claus, North Pole, HOH, OHO, Canada. Once the envelope is sealed and both the return address and mailing addresses are written on it, the letters can then be taken to the Neepawa Post Office and put in the Santa box. In addition to this annual tradition, the box itself is also quite special. The painted wooden mailbox was made and donated by the Neepawa Men's Shed last year when it got its first use. We had previously been using a cardboard box, a really wonderfully decorated one made by the daughter of one of the workers here, Porak explained. It was beautiful, but unfortunately cardboard can only last for so long. So we approached the group inquiring about a simple box for kids to put their letters and could better withstand the tests of time. Porak added, "The box the Men's Shed made for us was well beyond our expectations, and it'll be here for years to come." The Arts Forward Glorious Christmas Wish Sale will be on Saturday, November 26, from 10 to 3 p.m. at the Yellowhead Hall. Families coming for Santa pictures will get in free. Otherwise, there's a $3 admission. Farm and Leisure Lotto ecstatic about the return to normal. The Neepawa District Medical Committee is very pleased with the results from its annual Farm and Leisure Lottery. Mary Ellen Clark, the lottery chair for the committee, said that support for this year's version of the fundraiser has been simply fantastic. While official numbers are not yet confirmed, Clark believes that they could post a net profit close to $120,000. While that would be less than last year's record-setting result of $160,500, it would still be one of the most successful years in recent memory. Clark noted that the support for the lottery remained incredibly strong all across Western Manitoba. We feel we could make around $120,000. All the bills aren't in yet, but we're hopeful. Once all that's calculated, it could be around $120,000, which is about normal. We always hope to make at least $100,000, but no matter what, we're happy with what we make, said Clark. All across Western Manitoba seems to step up and support the lotto each year. Not just what could be considered local. The Parkland region in particular supports us in a big way. We are so grateful for that support, and we appreciate that so much. Clark thanked all the volunteers who assisted the Farm and Leisure Lotto, doing jobs such as running the phones, selling the tickets, doing all the little things they can to share the message with as many people as possible. She also singled out Murray Van Buskirk for his tireless sales efforts. Clark said that he alone sold just over 23,000 in tickets. As for the winners of this year's grand prize, Norman Long of Dauphin went home with a $100,000 win. The 50-50 draw, meanwhile, was worth $49,945 and won by Mike, Libby, Morris, and Julia Morose of Ethelbert, Manitoba. The Neepawa and District Medical Committee Farm and Leisure Lottery has been in operation for 15 years and has raised an estimated $1.5 million. Each year, the proceeds help fund ongoing improvements to the Beautiful Plains Medical Clinic and Neepawa's medical services in general. And by Owen Devereux, Council approves bid on the Neepawa Golf and Country Club bridge replacement, riverbank remediation. The replacement of a bridge at NG and CC, along with other repair work related to the 2020 flood, has been approved by Town Council. On Tuesday, November 15th, Council accepted the proposal for those repairs from Tri-Core Projects Limited, a Winnipeg-based civil environmental construction service at a cost of approximately $970,000, including GST. Tri-Core will now be responsible for the installation of a permanent bridge on hole number 8 of the golf course, as well as remediating the damage that occurred along the nearby riverbank. The timeline for that work to begin will be discussed shortly, with the town hopeful it will be done through the winter months. There was 5 submitted bids for the project, which ranged in cost from $970,000 to $1.2 million. All 5 of the bids fully met the requirements of the bid submission. Stan T, the engineering services company overseeing the project for the town, recommended the low bid to administration as the best option. November 18th and 19th and November 20th, playing at the Roxy Theatre, is Black Adam. Right in the Center by Ken Waddell. Repair or replace? That is the question. I was asked a pointed question last week by a person who lives in the region and knows about Neepawa but doesn't live in the town. The question was, Neepawa is a progressive town, isn't it? I paused with my answer and then offered, yes, it is a progressive town, but sometimes reluctantly. I based that answer of over 50 years of living in Neepawa and area. For many decades, Neepawa's population was fairly static, around 3,000 people. In the last 10 years, it has ramped up to nearly 6,000 and now ranks as the 11th largest town in Manitoba. The growth is the envy of many centers. So why did I say reluctantly? Well, it's because that is what I have observed. Growth has been accepted, but I contend it hasn't always been sought out. Neepawa's approach seems more passive than in centers like Morden, Winkler, Steinbach, or Niverville. The latter now ranks slightly ahead of Neepawa in terms of population. Winkler established a growth plan many years ago, and the town leaders have obviously followed the plan. Numerous investors have come to Neepawa and often noted that there is no real plan in place. That has changed, but it could be argued there's a lot of progress left to be achieved. Times have changed, and for Neepawa, the Spring Hill hog plant, built in the late 1980s, was the spark that set the growth ablaze. Spring Hill was, by today's standard, a modest proposal that grew very slowly until it was sold to High Tech, which became High Life. Now it employs 1,700 or more people and has been a huge influx of immigrants to Neepawa. High Life didn't grow without a plan by both the company and the town. Investments in housing and infrastructure have been in the hundreds of millions. The company has been very focused and strategic, and in the past few years, the town has been more focused than in the past. All that said, more strategic planning and infrastructure is needed. The new hospital has been announced. The new fire hall is up and functioning. The new police station just opened. The new school is full and then some. As for housing, there are about 200 new housing units, homes and apartments currently under construction. Neepawa is definitely growing. Much of the growth has come largely from outside investment and influence. High Life has been almost all outside investment, while the town, province, and feds have invested heavily in infrastructure. While growth has been pretty good in Neepawa, this observer of 50-plus years sees some major differences between now and 30-40 years ago. The big difference is that in the past, local business decision makers were more plentiful. Neepawa has always had 5 to 6 machinery dealers, and they used to be all locally owned. Now, only one is locally owned. Car dealerships tend to be largely influenced by out-of-town ownership groups. Perhaps the biggest difference is banking decision makers. Only the credit union makes the larger business decisions locally. All the banks used to do so. Back in the day, farms and businesses could talk to the decision maker locally. Some names that come to mind are Dej George at BMO, Jerry Houston at RBC, and Gord Sylvester at CIBC. It appears the bigger farm and business lending decisions are made out of town. Perhaps growth might be faster and more efficient if we had more locals in the bigger business ownership chairs and in the banking management chairs. Another area that Neepawa appears to be lagging is in long-term planning for recreation. Neepawa is somewhat unique in that the arena, community hall, curling rink, and golf course are all owned and operated by local committees. The town of Neepawa puts minimal dollars into those 4 facilities compared to other towns. To put it bluntly, the town of Neepawa and the taxpayers have gotten off pretty cheaply compared to other locations. That all said, it has worked out, but the day is coming, and maybe well past, where major repairs or even a replacement will be needed. As far as I know, neither the town nor the respective committees have a fund or a plan for upgrades or replacement. The Yellowhead Arena is 50 years old. The golf course club room is very old, and while it works, members long for an upgrade. The curling rink is not as old, but it needs upgrades as well. The hall portion was built in the 1940s as a warehouse for the former salt company. To replace all the buildings listed would likely be in excess of $40 million. That's a lot of money, so perhaps the committees and the town had better sit down and make a plan. In my view, improvements might better be achieved by upgrades instead of replacement. Thumbs up or thumbs down? We have a thumbs up for a well-written review of Women in the War Years featured in the Remembrance Day issue of the Neepawa Banner and Press. A sudden lack of men in the weak force during WW2 necessitated an all-hands-on-deck approach. Capable, intelligent, efficient, skilled women stepped up to the plate. Put to the test, they surpassed high expectations in a man's environment. No one should be surprised. They contributed greatly to the success of the Canadian war effort. Following the war, women continued to work, creating more diverse and dynamic pool of employees in all fields, including the scientists and sciences, all for the greater good of society. Submitted by Barbara J. Jardine of Neepawa. Okay. Fun Mindfulness Practice. Your Listening Ear by Delcy Martin. Mindfulness is a word that has come into mainstream society, and many of us know it. For those who don't, mindfulness is about coming out of your head and focusing on the here and now. It's about focusing all your attention, non-judgmentally, on what you are doing in the present moment. I'm as guilty as anyone for starting practicing mindfulness and then either forgetting I've started it or getting distracted by my day. However, when I end up in crisis, I always turn to my mindfulness practice to bring me back, and it works every time. I want to give you some fun mindfulness exercises that you might be willing to try. I need to stress that for every one of these exercises, you will not be perfect. You will not always succeed, but the effort will always count. You will start your mindfulness exercise, and then your attention will go to something else. This is totally normal. Acknowledge it happening without judgment and gently draw your attention back to your practice. You may need to repeat this process several times throughout your short mindfulness activity, but the more repetitions of this process you do, you are teaching your brain to focus. Here are some fun mindful exercises to try. Mindful eating. Get your favorite snack. Put your snack in front of you, look at it, and describe every aspect of that snack to yourself as if you had never seen that snack before. Bring it up to your nose, smell it, and focus all your attention on the smell. Put it in your mouth, but don't swallow right away. Roll it around in your mouth and notice every aspect of the taste that you can. Finally, swallow and sit quietly noticing the aftertaste in your mouth. Many of my clients like to use chocolate and have some loved curry and salty flavors. Don't make the mistake I did in using coffee the first time. I did mindful eating. It burns. Use iced coffee. Another one is mindful showering. Every aspect of the shower is meant for pleasure. Example, hot water, pretty soap. Yet we either rush through them or spend the whole time worrying about your upcoming day. Next time, close your eyes. Notice how the water hits your body and what sensations the heat gives each muscle. Take your shampoo into your hand and smell it and pick out all the different scents. Shampoo your hair slowly and give yourself a scalp massage. Take as much time as you can and focus your attention on how you experience pleasure while showering. Mindful walking. Notice the weight of your feet on the ground, how your toes sit in your shoes, and take a step. Notice how the weight of your body shifts. Keep walking. Find the sound of your feet hitting the ground and the feel of the weight in your feet. Take a breath of fresh air. Notice how it fills your lungs. Look around you. Pick out 3 things that you can see and describe them to yourself. Pick out 2 things that you can hear. Pick out 1 thing that you can smell. Have fun with these. Mindfulness is not about judging your ability to do it, but having fun with it in the moment. Delcy Martin. She's a Master's of Social Work student with the University of Calgary. Preliminary work is underway for a new Best Western hotel in Neepawa. A portion of the groundwork required for the new Best Western Plus hotel lot officially got underway recently before the snowfalls came. The lot is located on the southern portion of the former CN property. The Neepawa Banner and Press will be keeping a close eye on its progression. Talks of a new hotel, with hopes of it being a Best Western, began back in 2018 with a representation to the Rotary Club by Steel Creek. However, it wasn't until late January 2021 that a consortium of local business owners confirmed that they would be opening a Best Western chain hotel within the community. The plans discussed at that time with the Banner and Press included fall of 2023 as a prospective completion date. The Best Western hotel chain was chosen due to supportive membership, high quality standards, and its high regard among travelers. And Out of Helen's Kitchen by Helen Drysdale. Reuben's. A Reuben sandwich is made of corned beef, sauerkraut, Swiss cheese, and Russian or Thousand Island dressing on hearty rye bread and grilled until the cheese is perfectly melted. It is my favorite sandwich. I have made other recipes using these tasty ingredients, which I will share with you today. But first, some Reuben history. Controversy exists on how and where this sandwich, the Reuben, came to be. The two stories are as follows. The first account upholds that the sandwich was created in New York City by Arnold Reuben, the owner of Reuben's Restaurant. The year 1914. It was the era of silent movies, starring Charlie Chaplin. One evening, Annette Silos, one of Charlie's leading ladies, came into the restaurant and said, "Reuben, make me a combination sandwich. I'm so hungry I could eat a brick." Reuben made her a special sandwich. Upon finishing her sandwich, Annette exclaimed, "Reuben, this is the best sandwich I ever ate. You ought to call it an Annette Silos special." To which he replied, "Like hell I will. I'll call it a Reuben special." The sandwich went on the menu and became very popular in the restaurant, and soon over New York City and beyond. Now the other story comes from Omaha, Nebraska in the 1920s. Poker night at the local hotel. The poker players are hungry. One of the poker players, Reuben Kalaskowski, asked the hotel chef for a corned beef sandwich and corned beef and sauerkraut sandwich. Chef Bernard Schimmel added Swiss cheese and Russian dressing to the sandwich on rye bread and grills it. It became a hit at the poker game, and the sandwich is added to hotel menu under the name the Reuben. Now in Omaha, they have a National Reuben Sandwich Day, March 14th of every year. So you can choose famous actress or poker night. Either way, it is a delight combination. And Helen has two recipes that you can take a look at in today's banner. One is baked Reuben potatoes, and the other is a Reuben casserole. Neepawa's Mental Wellness Group's latest project illuminates local chapel. Casper Wareham has submitted this article. The Neepawa Men's Shed finished their latest project recently. This past weekend, the local men's mental health support group completed and delivered a brand new cross to the Calvary Chapel. The new cross is made with reclaimed barn board rafters and Manitoba poplar. The rafters are from an 80-year-old barn, which I tore down myself, said Men's Shed member Brad Mummery, and the poplar was harvested from the Clan William area. The cross project had begun earlier this year during the summer. Mummery explained that the project took quite a while to complete due to an unforeseen obstacle. That obstacle being that the cross was planned to be, and is, backlit. It was a real challenge to find the correct lights for it. We tried to source locally if possible, then searched online, but the kits weren't right, Mummery stated. Eventually, we were able to find what we needed at a Canadian company. Fellow member Colin McNerney added, "The cross met the expectations of the pastor and the congregation loved it. As well, with the design of the cross and it being backlit, it includes 3 crosses total if counting the shadow that's projected. Those 3 crosses are something that's important to the chapel's faith, so that was a fortunate accident." Mummery told the Banner and Press that this project had come about after the Men's Shed began holding meetings in the basement of the church sometime last year. Though unable to meet there now due to repair needs, the group at the time had asked the pastor, James Anderson, if there was anything they could take care of for him. That's when James came up with the idea of the cross, and the rest all came together, said Mummery. I had the vision in my head, said Colin McNerney, put it to paper, then we all just worked from there to make it a reality. The total cost of the project was under $200, with the final product being donated to the Calvary Chapel. The Men's Shed donates many of their projects, merely wishing to cover the cost of materials either through payment by the group the project is for or via community donation if the project is being donated. We never charge for our time because the project actually isn't the focus, said Mummery. Getting to work on projects for the community is just a bonus. The Men's Shed is a concept originally founded in Australia to support men's mental health, particularly senior men. This was because many men at those ages have downsized or live in an apartment and don't have their own workshops anymore. There were issues with suicides and the like, and a lot of men don't talk about things openly when they're sitting having coffee with someone, McNerney emphasized. So this concept of shoulder to shoulder started there. The idea is that you're getting together, working on something, and getting that camaraderie and fellowship. They perhaps feel more open to talking about things while they're working on something together. For example, McNerney elaborated that the Neepawa Men's Shed has a few members who are widowers. With the meeting the local men's shed holds, it helps those individuals get out and interact with their fellows, working and talking together. That's the key right there. So although they can take a while, the projects really aren't the focus, said McNerney. And we've been incredibly fortunate to have great local funding, being able to do several community projects for no charge and give something back. Although there is a focus on senior men, the Neepawa Men's Shed has expressed that men of all ages are welcome to join. Additionally, McNerney wished to stress that the group has no religious affiliations. There's been a stigma in the past that we have religious affiliations, but this is untrue. Many men don't want to join a group that has a religious affiliation, and perhaps haven't joined because of that misconception. Our only affiliations are Men's Shed Manitoba and the Men's Shed Canada. Full stop. Anyone wishing to join the Neepawa Men's Shed are asked to reach out to McNerney via his cell phone at 204-841-1629. One thing McNerney said the Men's Shed is currently being held back is that they do not have a workshop of their own, and they're using the workshops of a couple of members. Due to electricity costs to those members and presently using individual owned tools, as well as a desire to better accommodate those who don't want or can't make sawdust for health reasons, has the Men's Shed on the lookout for a proper meeting place. A place like the Touchwood building, just north of Giant Tiger, would be perfect. There's a space in the back for making sawdust and a place in the front for people to gather and just have coffee and play cards, said McNerney. We'd really like to cater to both groups more equally, so this is an important goal for the future of the group that would allow for more growth. In addition to better accommodation, a dedicated building would allow them to have information about the Men's Shed available and posted in the shop window, as well to hold more regular meetings if the need called for it. And by Owen Devereaux, Neepawa Food Bank is in need of donations. Salvation Army is facing multiple challenges heading into the holidays. Even at the best of times, things can be challenging for Neepawa's Salvation Army Food Bank, and right now, these are not the best of times. According to Community Family Services worker Leah Anderson, the combination of an ongoing economic uncertainty, inflation, and lingering impact from the pandemic has created new obstacles for them this year. She told the Banner and Press that those factors have caused more consistent local need for their food bank. For need, we have definitely seen an increase in access. Every month I have new intakes coming in. Our access to our food bank is steady. And looking at our stats from last year, I'm seeing that there is more consistency of usage over the entire course of the year, said Anderson. There are those that haven't needed us in months or a couple of years even, and they're accessing us now, whether it's because of work hours or inflation. That is a concern. Our food inflation is so much greater over the course of the year. That definitely impacted our food purchasing ability. If you go shopping, no matter which store you select, whether it's local or a Walmart or a superstore, you're seeing the differences in cost compared to not just the last year, but 6 months ago. Anderson indicated that as we head into the holiday season, the Salvation Army normally has an uptick in donations, which is really greatly appreciated. She added, however, that there are some specific items that are still very much needed. Thankfully, we recently had our annual food drive, so thanks to the Neepawa Collegiate Hope Group for their support on that. That helps. It does stock us quite a bit. But right now, around this time of year, we typically do run low on canned meat, especially flakes of meat, cooking oil, flour, and sugar I have run low on. Condiments, especially ketchup and barbecue sauces, I run low on. Toiletries and shampoo, I always run low on. Honestly, laundry soap, laundry pods, and toilet paper are probably the items I receive for the most requests for. If someone was able to donate A large $20 packs at Walmart or wherever, they can last a family for a few months. Being able to give those can make a huge difference. Other items that have been low in stock this year that may surprise you include pasta sauce and canned beans. Anderson did note, however, that the Salvation Army is quite thankful for the response to their food rescue program. The program has seen donations from local stores such as Co-op, Canada Safeway, of items like bread and produce, which are quickly distributed to those who need. She said the support on this venue has been invaluable. Anderson closed out her conversation with the Banner and Press, saying that even the smallest of donations can be helpful. We accept all sizes of donations, even monetary ones. Every little bit helps, said Anderson. And turning to the sports page, Chidi Small wins Coach of the Year. Neepawa Area Collegiate Tigers football coach is recognized with league-wide honor. Owen Devereaux reporting. It's a recognition that NACI football coach Chidi Small himself was not expecting. On Saturday, November 12th, the Rural Manitoba Football League announced its award winners for the season, and amongst the recipients, Small was named as the 2022 Coach of the Year. The third-year coach with NACI program was recognized for his impressive leadership of a team that perhaps wasn't expected to do much on the field this year. The roster was heavy on first-years, inexperienced football players. However, Coach Small, along with assistant coaches Vasquez and Elgert, helped mold the team quickly and guide them to a 4-3 regular season record. Then in the postseason, the Tigers played for and won the Murray Black Cup, the league's consolation championship. This impressive leadership was noticed across the league and rightfully recognized. In speaking with the Banner and Press after learning of the award, Coach Small said that it was an unexpected acknowledgement. I was quite surprised, to be honest. I think we are a program that has improved over the last few years, but I also acknowledge that we haven't competed for the Doug Steeves Trophy, which is why I was caught off guard by the nomination. Hopefully I can live up to it and continue to help grow the football program in Neepawa, said Small. Coach Small noted that a huge part of coaching this team this past season focused on individual and team development and setting goals before games, as opposed to wins and losses. I think that had a huge impact on the boys and their mindset, helping them become more focused on things that would also help us win games. In winning the award, Coach Small thanked his players, specifically the seniors, who he has seen develop as players and people over the last few years. I just want to give a shout out to my grade 12 players. It has been a pleasure coaching and working with you for 3 years. I wish you all the best in whatever you choose to pursue going forward. If you played for me, I see you as family always, said Small. Well done, Neepawa Tigers football coach Chidi Small. And continuing in the sports field, Selkirk steals one in Neepawa by Owen Devereaux. The Neepawa Titans were less than 7 seconds away from a huge regulation win over the Selkirk Steelers over the weekend. Unfortunately, a late goal ended up sending the game on Saturday, November 12th into overtime, where Selkirk collected the extra point with a 6-5 victory. The win was just the Steelers' 4th of the year. As for Neepawa, the overtime loss dropped their record to 7 wins, 11 losses, and 4 ties on the season. Good enough for 18 points in the standings and 6th place in the MJHL's Western Division. Neepawa Farmers lose in Melita. This is the Tiger Hills Hockey League update by Owen Devereaux. The rough start to the season has continued for the Neepawa Farmers as they fell to the Melita Bisons on October 12th by the score of 7-6. Close one. Brad Marshall scored a pair of goals for the Farmers on the night, while Corbin Mariash collected a goal and 2 assists. Garrett Rempel, Benoit Mosbray, and Kyle McDonald scored the other goals for Neepawa. This latest loss drops Neepawa to 0 wins and 4 losses on the season. Farmers will play in Wawanesa on Friday, November 18th. The next home game at the Yellowhead Centre will be Sunday, November 20th at 5:30 versus the Hartney Blues. I'll turn now to the obituaries column. With her children by her side, our beloved mother, grandmother, aunt, wife, and friend, Evelyn McConnell, passed away November 12, 2022. True to her strong character, she fought as long as she could. We felt fortunate and thankful that she could say goodbye to her family and as many friends as possible. The family would like to thank the staff at the Neepawa Hospital and Ward 3S at the Grace Hospital for giving Mom the best care possible. Funeral services would be held on Monday, November 21st at the Neepawa United Church at 1 p.m., Reverend Chad McCharles officiating. In lieu of flowers, donations can be made to the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation or the Neepawa United Anglican Church. Our beloved aunt, Joan Marie Pelishati, passed away peacefully at her home in Winnipeg on November 1st, 2022, at the age of 75. We will always remember her as the wonderful, fun, and loving aunt and person she was to us all. She's predeceased by her sister, Dorothy Doley, and her parents, Joseph and Daisy Pelishati. A memorial service will be held for immediate family only. It is with deep sadness that we announce the passing of Edward Silowinski on October 21st, 2022. Ed is survived by his loving wife, Irina, whose nickname, Ira, adorns the registration of the plane he built, and sister, Helena Beliak. It is with heavy hearts that we announce the peaceful passing of Helen Maria Gertrude Puben on November 10th, 2022, at her home in Neepawa, Manitoba. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made to either the Heart and Stroke Foundation or the Palliative Care Unit and the Neepawa Health Centre. Funeral services to be held at St. Dominic's Catholic Church on November 17th, 2022 at 2 p.m. Interment to be held at Riverside Cemetery, Neepawa, Manitoba. And peacefully and with family by his side on November 11th, George Murdoch Moore entered into eternal rest. Left to cherish his memory are his loving wife, Lizzie Moore, sons Jeff, Les Moore, daughter Lynn, and grandsons Max Moore, Riley Brown, Ty Robertson, Justin Robertson, and great-granddaughter James. In lieu of flowers, if friends so desire, contributions in his name can be made to St. Bed's Church. Community members were sent to the slammer for charity. Members of the Neepawa community were put in the brig on Tuesday as part of the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation Jail and Bail event. Some of the culprits were Blair McLaughlin, Landon Cameron, Sean Boyle, Wayne Jacobson. They were duly arrested on some flimsy charges: impersonation of a famous British rocker in McLaughlin's case, and had to phone friends to bring in bail money to set them free. The jail and bail hasn't been run for a few years, but came back this year to raise money for the foundation. Rumors were circulating that some employees were raising money to keep their bosses in jail, but the Neepawa Banner and Press was unable to verify those reports. And there's lots of hometown businesses on the back cover here. Neepawa Shop Hometown. You have a chance to win $5,600 in prizes. Draw is Monday, December 12th. Visit any of these participating merchants for an entry form and entry details. Method of entry may vary. We have Myers Norris Penny, Chicken Chef, Your Dollar Store with more, DQ, Dairy Queen, Neepawa Pharmacy, Kinley Thompson, TIC Parts and Service, Mazer Group, Safeway, Home Hardware Building Center, KK Penner Tire Centers, Ben's Auto Repair, Harris Pharmacy, Bamboo Garden Restaurant, Neepawa Gladstone Co-op Limited, the Neepawa Motel, Breaker 16 Equipment Rental and Sales, Valley Optical, Dr. Derek Papanese, McDonald's, hiring people that care, Boston Pizza, Bell MTS, Corral Communications, Enns Brothers, the Salvation Army, Neepawa Community Ministry Center, Giant Tiger, Orv's Appliance, and Gillen Small Agencies. Shop Hometown is jointly sponsored by the Neepawa Chamber of Commerce, the Neepawa Banner and Press, and the local businesses shown on this page. I am now turning to the article entitled Homebodies, written by Rita Friesen. Rita, the cupboard doors. It is not often that I refer to myself in the first person. I walked into my kitchen the other day and I suffered severe flashback memories. The name uttered with concern and some disdain was not my name, but that of a younger sister. She was notorious for leaving cupboard doors ajar and drawers inches away from being properly closed. My father, not a naturally observant person in the home, once stated that he could tell exactly what Dean was doing in the day-by-day disarray in the kitchen. Alas, that is now me on some days. My children used to tease, well, mock me for leaving an inch of water in a glass after having a drink. Did I think I would need an inch of water to prime a pump? Did I think that I needed to leave an inch of water and have it multiply? It was a small quirk, one I still have, but these kitchen doors and drawers could do me serious injury. I have no idea when this sloppy trend insidiously crept into my life. I do know it has taken root. Sitting at the breakfast table, I spotted the cold cereal door above the stove open, then the cutlery drawer, then the brown sugar and coffee doors were open as well. What the heck? And why? It wasn't that the items needed to be returned to their homes, for they were safely on the shelves. It wasn't that any one of these units is warped or twisted. They all close tightly and easily. I don't know. What I do know, that is, it is annoying to see the gaping smiles, and I am the only one responsible for leaving them open and for shutting them. My office desk has become a quagmire as well. I was gifted a marvelous table, a communion table, and it serves well as my desk. Lots of room for reference books, hymn books, and sundry accoutrements. I do know which teetering pile of papers the papers I need at the moment reside, and I can access them. The office looks beastly untidy, and if the table with a small bookshelf on it isn't enough, there's a filing cabinet at my right hand, and it is smothered with books and papers. On top, not inside. And to my left is another flat surface, my sewing machine, and I dread the day when I will need to access it, for it too is buried under piles of paper. The spare room closet for my office is the spare room, is all bookshelves and papers. One would think I make my living with words. I do believe that I need to entertain more. There used to be a flurry of cleaning before even a close friend arrived, never mind an important guest. Now I brush papers aside, enough to put out placemats for any given meal. Yet papers and books on the kitchen table as well. So perhaps these blasted kitchen cabinet doors, half open, are symptomatic of a deeper problem. We'll have to clear some space to think on that. Gladstone's glory years, our Hattie's humble home. And there's a picture here. This photograph is from Chapter 5 of the Gladstone's Glory Years booklet series. There was very little information printed with this photo, merely being labeled Our Hattie's Humble Home, 1905. The individuals in the photo are presumably Hattie and all her immediate family. Now I'm going to turn to the section on Looking Back by Caspar Wareham. 1942, the Neepawa Co-op celebrates 13 years progress. "50 years ago, November 16th, 1972, Mayor Harry Smith retires this year after 26 years as chairman of the Air Cadet Committee of the Legion. He was presented with a plaque from Neepawa Number 9 Air Cadets by F.S. Terry Drayson, assisted by Lieutenant Dave McClellan. Roy Kilburn and Mrs. Kilburn nee Mildred Scott, Donald Scott and Mrs. Scott, Eden Bruce Aiken and Mrs. Aiken, nee Betty Ann Scott, Robert James Scott of Portage, and Fred Chernenko were guests at a dinner honoring R.H. Scott's wedding anniversary of November 12, 1912. 40 years ago, November 18, 1982, the 94th anniversary of the First Baptist Church will be celebrated on November 21st. Reverend Basil Medjit, recently appointed Manitoba area minister, will be the guest speaker. In Plumas, Moore's grocery store closed its doors on November 6, 1982, after faithfully serving this community since 1942. In 1940, Mr. and Mrs. Fred Moore, now deceased, bought the former Nelson Cafe and operated it until they bought the building on the corner of Burroughs Avenue and Anderson Street and made it into a grocery store. Bob joined his parents in the store in 1945 when he returned after the war. Bob tried his hand in the cafe business around 1949 to 1950, but he decided that it wasn't his cup of tea, and he returned to the family store, and along with his wife Irene, they have continued their friendly service. Bob said after facing the public for 37 years, he thought it was time to retire and relax and enjoy his garden and their grandchildren, and perhaps watch a few more ponies run. 30 years ago, November 17, 1992, a fire last Tuesday morning destroyed an unoccupied 4-suite apartment building at 492 5th Avenue. Curler Gord McCracken and Crystal Kozarowski, an all-round student athlete from Neepawa Collegiate, are the winners of the Kem Frampton Awards for 1991. 20 years ago, November 18th, 2002, the province has called on Labour conciliator Wally Fox Decent to work out an agreement with the Manitoba Pharmaceutical Association and the owners of internet pharmacies. The Pharmaceutical Association and internet pharmacies, including Minnedosa's Mediplan Health Consulting, have been at odds legally and professionally since the practice of filling prescriptions on the internet started 2 years ago. And we'll read one more in looking back. 100 years ago, November 17th, 1922, Kelwood. Parties of volunteer workers have been preparing the ground in the ravine west of the Agriculture Hall for a permanent skating rink. And in Franklin, tame strawberries growing on bushes in Franklin District on November 15th. You say it can't be done, but seeing is believing. A Franklin farmer brought a cluster into town on Wednesday that he had picked that morning. Phew! Glencairn. Wild geese are going south, but we have a crow here yet. But it is Mrs. E.W. Roberts' tame crow, and it has no notion of leaving to go south. It seems to be quite contented to stay around her yard. Banner staff submitted the Yellowhead Chief results. The Yellowhead Chiefs hockey program had 6 league games scheduled last week. Listed are some of the game results, as well as notable efforts from the Neepawa-based players. Male under 18 results: Yellowhead 5-3 over the Interlake. Interlake 6-3 over Yellowhead. Female under 18 results. Yellowhead 2-0 over Pembina Valley. And Yellowhead 3-2 over the Winnipeg Avros. And the female under 15 results. Yellowhead 10-0 over Parkland. That was a big win. And Norman 5-3 over Yellowhead. And Yellowhead 7-1 over Norman. And the male under 15 results, Yellowhead posted a 5-2 win over Norman. And in that, Harley Smith Belial had 18 saves, 900% save percentage, which is very notable. And Yellowhead under 15 had a 13-1 win over Norman. And we have lots of help wanted, advertisements. And this article was submitted by the Metro Creative Connection. And it is what to give new homeowners this holiday season. The real estate market has been a wild ride in recent years. Sellers have cashed in on record-breaking profits, and buyers have had to compete against many others, sometimes in bidding wars, for a limited number of properties. Once listed, homes are selling fast. As interest rates rise and inventory increases, things are likely to change, though for some, it did not come soon enough. Individuals who were lucky enough to find a new home this year may discover they now have little money to outfit those homes. Shoppers with new homeowners on their holiday shopping lists may want to help those loved ones outfit their homes this season. The following are some home-related gift ideas to get shopping started. A video smart doorbell. Although the smart doorbell market began with only a handful of options, there's now a bevy of manufacturers who make video and smart home doorbells. These doorbells serve the dual purpose of alerting homeowners to someone at the door while providing surveillance of the comings and goings outside of the home. Depending on the product, a subscription may be needed to access video history. Doorbells range from $50 to $200 and more depending on features and resolution. How about a furniture gift card? There's a good chance new homeowners will need to furnish new rooms in a home, particularly if they're coming from an apartment or a smaller place. Many people also like to update furnishings when they move into new places. A gift card to a popular furniture store in the area will provide the head start new homeowners need to secure sofas, dining sets, lamps, rugs, and more. Another idea, household toolkit. What better way to prepare new homeowners for the do-it-yourself projects and household repairs than a toolkit? Home improvement retailers often package common tools needed in carrying cases or sets, but shoppers can grab separate items they think will be used and group them together in one gift. Pliers, screwdrivers, wrenches, a level, and measuring tape are good starter tools. Customized doormat. Give that new home additional curb appeal with a doormat customized with a special message or the new homeowner's names, such as "Welcome to the Smith home." Other custom products include cutting boards, and wall plaques. Programmable thermostat is another idea. A programmable or learning thermostat will help new homeowners save on their energy bills. Many thermostats now pair with smart home systems and phones and automatically adjust the temperature as needed to reduce energy consumption. And last suggestion is linens. A high thread count sheet set or plush Turkish cotton towels may not be something new homeowners think to get for themselves. But these luxurious gifts can make life at home more comfortable. Moving into a new home is an exciting yet expensive endeavor. Carefully curated gifts can tap into what new homeowners need the most. And our town employees are very busy at work. It's beginning to look a lot like a pair of public works staff for the town of Neepawa were out earlier this week installing Christmas lights throughout the downtown business district, and we appreciate their efforts. One last little faithfully yours from Neil Strojoin. In 1962, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that school-sponsored prayers violated the principle of the separation of church and state, and as such were deemed to be in violation of the U.S. Constitution. Like many such rulings America's highest court has made, this one was misunderstood and as a result, badly misinterpreted. The court did not ban prayer on school grounds or in school buildings. Students were free to find a quiet place on campus to sit alone, read their holy books, and pray to their God if they so choose. They could even meet in small groups on school property if they wished to do so. No one could stop them. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution states, among other things, that Congress shall make no law regarding the free expression of religion. So, students could get together for private prayer times, as they didn't try to force other students to join their prayer group. Shortly after the ruling, a 3-panel comic strip appeared in newspapers across the United States. In the first panel, a student is seated at a desk, head in hands, spending some time in quiet reflection. In the second panel, classmates ask what the student is doing. And in the final panel, the student replies, "As long as there are final exams, there will be prayer in public schools." I did a lot of praying in my last year of public school, and like the student in the comic strip mentioned above, much of it was done just before I was scheduled to write a final departmental exam. My prayers were simple in those days. I knew I had done all the coursework I needed to do. I had completed assignments, reviewed and studied for the exams, and was as prepared as I ever could be. So I just helped God to help me recall the material I had studied so that I could use it to answer the questions and solve the problems that appeared on the pages of this exam. And that is the banner and press for Friday, November 18th, 2022. Have a great week. I hope you enjoyed listening. Bye for now.